Welcome to Akhand Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom, the second 7 years of my life, the primary foundation education to build to impeccable wisdom step by step. This particular picture, you can see one thing has been added is another symbol which is descent of Mahashakti down, which is a realization of Gayatri within me. As I told you, within first 7 years, I had Gayatri Mantra initiation, and one of the benefits was that I could experience that as I moved. Now, keeping these two, my soul within my body, giving me an experience of all the 100 trillion cells of my body on one side, 100 billion cells, its activation, and adding 20,000 memory synapses, which have completed or increasing over and over, started with that. As a result, I have been saying we should not be concerned about any information, data which is confusing. I want one value with Deving in mind, and I'm glad as on today I can rewrite mathematics, which is divine, physics, which is divine, chemistry, which is divine, and medical science by and large. I'm not talking about other subjects. My concern is only for human life. I want every human being to be perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise, and happy, leading a life as a custodian and for the world peace. I want a uniform syllabus for every student, and I want every student to become conscientiously aware of A to Z of perfect knowledge, which is not at all confusing, and then go to impeccable wisdom for the benefit of entire humanity, at the same time for other living beings and non-living beings. I am very clear I want world peace. And for world peace, knowledge is only way. Everything else is sportive. Without knowledge, you cannot do anything. All the problems of the world are ignorance of the highest order, which is making them do certain things which are not absolutely essential, required, or otherwise. With that angle, let me move on to the next. I have been saying very clearly that Akhand and integrated life in my case has been divided into first 7 years, which was cognition without any training of any sort in a pre-class, LKG or UKG or school at all. I did not go to school. I was not taught ABC, and I'm at this particular juncture I'm glad to say my parents by and large were ignorant of the knowledge which the world is talking about. But they were perfect human beings, leading good example for the world, observing them all the good thing for the entire one, irrespective, caste, creed, this and that, has made me what today I respect every human being to be equal. There is nothing big, nothing small. I might be born Brahman, but I did not see that kind of Brahman which people have been blamed of. They were as perfect human beings as perfect being can ever be. So they were examples. They did not force me anything, but since they were living examples, seeing their life as it is was a good experience. Then seeing things world as it is, understanding with my innocent mind and trying to understand the cognition has helped me to lead first 7 years very well. The next 7 years I'm going to talk now, which is the school I studied in Katra, what I learned during that particular period. But at the same time, I'm also making it clear we are looking for impeccable wisdom without any fault. But I'm sure there must have been certain things in my life too which I have to change. And I have made it clear to everybody. Even the information which I'm giving, please do not accept it as the ultimate truth. Please find fault with it. If you find even single mistake, please bring it to my notice so that we can correct it. It is a joint venture of entire humanity. I am just leading from front. But I expect everyone to add value so that we have the impeccable wisdom in multi-dimensional without any fault, and we have the syllabus for every book for every child throughout the world, uniform, no difference between poor, rich, cultured, or otherwise. For me, every human child is as important as at all. That's it. Now, then 20 years or 28 and 30 years, we will talk as we proceed. As I told you, my desire is 7 years, don't learn anything through any conditional thing. Let the brain be developed fully. Just observe, don't force anything. Just observe. Things will get recorded as we proceed. I still remember the earliest moments, but they are as perfect as ever. Then, no condition of any nature, no formal education should be there for 7 years. Let the mind observe, have an idea of impeccable wisdom to build on as we proceed. As I told you, the most evolved aspect which makes human being the greatest of the or a brain, which is different from other brains of all the animals. And I make it very clear, left brain is mathematical conclusive, which is mainly used by male to lead from front, make it logical, analytic, rational, and lead certain conditions. It has certain do's and don'ts. That should be very clear. We sh- that decision to have impeccable wisdom, conclusive mathematics is the one which is going to make a difference. But the right side is a very creative designer otherwise. It has all unity in diversity. It is a female qualities that they can do multitasking on their own on many fields. And unless until you use the right side of the brain as the left side of the brain together in a very logical way and know all the 64 arts, we cannot make optimum use of the perfect human being and have the kind of memory and become a walking, talking encyclopedia. I want everyone to be a walking, talking encyclopedia of impeccable wisdom throughout the world if we want the world peace. That's it. As I have also been saying, without understanding complete brain fully, we cannot understand how to remember things for rest of life. Brain cannot be put under the carpet come whatsoever. It is a big blessing which makes us great. And I know reptilian brain of the brainstem and spinal cord should be known fully so that all the unconscious, conscious and subconscious functions are automatically taken care of without any need of anything from external world. Animals do not need other things unless until they have problem otherwise. Otherwise they know what to eat, what not to eat. I have seen that all my life. Mammalian emotion is also important, but emotion should start from inside. For myself, my wife, my children, my parents, my relatives, my friends, associates. We should move from in out. But at the same time, you should be emotionally stable for the entire world. That is Vasudhaiva Kutumbam, which mammalian brain is capable and human beings. We are like that. Then you have a primate cortical thinking brain, cortical, subortical, cortex part. But for to fourth layer, it is a logical within the body, which everybody uses. But outer three layers, the neocortex, I'm very sorry to say, neuroscientists of the world don't even know its functions. All their research is from sensory system to fourth layer of neocortex and fourth layer of neocortex from motor component down to ascending and descending tract. They have done a wonderful job, thanks to them. But outer three layers, they do not know because they don't have a subject who has used the outer three layers. This is where I come to play. I'm the only one whose outer three layers are totally active, awakened, and in tune with Akash Kosh. As a result, I am able to get my wisdom from Akash Kosh, which has a restore of all the past, present, even future is recorded there. And I've gone on to say Schumann resonance field has got the record, and that is Akash Kosh, that is ionosphere. And once you are in tune with that, you can do wonders. And I'm being an example. I've done that to bring Devyank on the mind and also Akhandanvai and all the knowledge. With that knowledge, we are going to lay a foundation for impeccable wisdom. Now, this particular picture I have brought because I have, as I told you, I have asked everyone not to accept my things as it is. But unfortunately, every teacher expects every student to follow them blindly. Whereas I tell my students, I'm giving you the information to build on, then use your logical mind, try to find fault with my work, and be rewarded for that. And I always say, anyone who can find fault logically and tells me will be rewarded by me in abundance. So I encourage everybody to look at my work critically, find fault. That's the only way we can reach the impeccable wisdom of every subject without, and that's kind of research which I want. I have one of my recent followers, Dr. Sanjay Kaushal, who has been fascinated by my books, and he has even bought my books and started reading. And yesterday he called me up. At the same time, we have spoken message on WhatsApp. He said, is it 8.73 Schumann resonance field or 7.83? From my memory of the picture which is there, I said 8.73. Then he said Google gives it 7.83. I said I will check it up. After checking it up, let me show the world what it is and what it means for our work. So thanks to Dr. Sanjay for bringing it to notice and telling that this is this. He is rewarded. Now, based on that, I looked at the picture from Google and I found this Earth, three frequencies 7.83, 14.1, and 23 Hertz. At this juncture, I said yes, 8.73 is what Schumann resonance field as a first peak, which is close to the Earth. Second peak is the second one. Third peak is this one. But this also brings it to my notice to bring it to my first seven, and my brain of 8 hertz is more close to 7.83 rather than 8.73. So we can make it 7 to 8 years as the first unlearning period and no learning period. Or nothing. Then next 7 years to this particular stage up to 14 years is what I'm talking about. Then talk about another 7 years till the brain develops. And 20.73, I would bring it down to 22. If I have to take 7, 14, then take it to 21 or 22, my concept will be very clear. Now, what people have noticed, I have no problem. But in my first book in Akhand, I have gone on record to say Earth's average frequency is 0 to 3 frequency. And that is Muladhara Chakra of 4 petals or 4 frequency. And I stick to that, and it can go up to 8. But I also know this ionosphere is changing, is consistently. And when you're talking about 7.83 or 14.1 or 23 are the peaks, that doesn't mean this is the only value. Other values are also part. There is ascension, there is descension, ascension, descension, ascension, descension. So, but we are talking about peak. If they are taken as peak, I don't have any problem. But I do know, I would rather say first 7 years, then 7 years, then another 7 years to make it more concise as an average value to avoid the confusion which the world has. So for me, 7, for another 7 to 14, another 7 to 21, and then move on to 28, then move on to 35. is much better, precise, concise presentation, and remain the other frequencies in between as such. But I want the perfect model so that we know this is the one we should achieve to prevent medicines, prevent problems, or curtail aging, or even reverse aging. We need perfect mathematics design, and that is Divyank, which is giving me the impeccable wisdom by and large. Now, having understood, acknowledge Dr. Sanjay's contribution, and of course, I look up to everyone to give me feedback that this is defective. And I request also to put it on record that this is defective so that this is there for others so that people don't make that mistake. But unfortunately, in research, of late I find people want review references, but they say 5 years is more than enough. But in my PhD thesis, I've gone on record that first thing is more important than thing. Go back to the first time the work started. What were the results? How we improved? And what is further is much more important. So going through the entire thing as such is more important than just 5 years research. That is also a concept which I do not agree with. It should be on totality. What are the mistakes others have made? Let it be on record that this was a mistake and what was done, what is the next result, and what was found, and that is beauty of modern science. This is evolutionary process. They have not found the truth, but I'm glad I have found the truth in Akhand and Divyank. Now we can restart the research again in the light of Divyank to give impeccable wisdom to the world. I'm being very forthright. I have the world's intelligence. I don't want anybody to remember something which is defective. I do not want to mislead anyone whatsoever. We need uniform. I have no ego problem, but I have self-esteem and respect that I am also evolving in the process. And I always make it, I am only a student. I am not a guru. I am not a teacher. I am sharing for the love of it, whatever I know, so that we can improve upon impeccable wisdom and go to the level of Akhandata the way I am to be. So this is a message which I have given it for the first 7 years. No conditioning whatsoever. Child should not be forced to learn something which is defective. Unlearning is very difficult. And example is 8.73. How it happened, I do not know. But now that I know, I have to make a super conscious effort to remember 7.3 and then 7 and let's put it this way, so that we do not have a wide range of values which are confusing. Like blood pressure. Today they say 140 by 90 is right or 110 by 70 is right. Different books are giving different values. Same for blood pressure, same for all the articles. And I am of the opinion blood pressure perfect value should be 120 by 74. And this is on deviant based. If it is a perfect value of blood sugar, it should be 111. For each and everything, we are giving one value only, not too many values, no wide range values, no confusion. That is uniform for every book, for every child. This is impeccable wisdom. This is what we need to know. This is what is going to help us to proceed forward. We need that kind of uniformity, that kind of uniform syllabus, that kind of detailed data, information, knowledge, wisdom for every subject. And whatever the world might say, you are too small to understand. But I think children understand much faster than others. I find it difficult to play with the equipments where I see small children up to 7 years doing wonders. But within 7 years, what they have learned to handle is phenomenal if they allowed them to work on their own. They will not make mistake unless until we give them the mistakes. They'll find a way how to handle it. As a matter of fact, small children, I'm learning from them much more than I'm learning from adults. And all Akhand Vidyashan's work is for the next generation. And let them start with this variant from the day one. Let us give them the advantage to field on their own, but give them the field of this information with which we design. They'll get used to it, they'll build on it, take it to the level which the world needs for uniformity. Now, coming to 7.83 is the sim now. My EEG with eyes open, I can produce 8 hertz frequency. This is another confirmation. But I want to do with the eyes open, not with eyes closed. And that is what, keep your senses, all the five senses open. See the world with the open eyes. Don't close it and concentrate on one aspect or other. All the five senses are going to give you knowledge from five different aspects. And 10 sides should be same thing only. Don't close the eyes, don't close the ears, don't close anything. See the world and produce 8 hertz, which is close to 7.83. From that angle, this was phenomenal. Let's start from here. And most probably, since I'm talking of my autobiography, I'm going to show this maybe first 5 or 10 minutes repetition of thing. But it's worth repeating, reinforcing, because it takes 22 days to remove the old defects and reinforce with something. Let's do it again and again with the impeccable wisdom so that we can build thereafter much better. As I told you, my dharma is impeccable wisdom. My greatest discovery is Divyank. With this, we should move on now to redesign something which we are talking for the next 7 years. I told you the symbol has to be now. The languages have a problem. Inadequate words, ambiguity in words, and the problems are there. To avoid the language medium problems of different languages of the world, let's create one language of graphics or symbols which ancient Indian Indians were very good at. Let's revive that. But many people have a problem. How can God be a male or female, etc.? So, okay, let's forget that. Now we'll make symbols, which I have done with mathematics, geometry, single uniform. Each one should have only one meaning, no two meanings at all, no ambiguity whatsoever. And this is symbol of Divyank. Outer is 22 by 21. 10 are the 10 stages of development, and 0.344 are the last, and this is Divyank. And once we know this is a mathematical symbol, this is a symbol, there will be uniformity, then we can use this symbol only for further. You don't have to write again. That's again something which I'm bringing together. I've given you mathematical table. I've given you the symbol. We don't have to repeat it every time. When you know, once we know the number, you see the symbol, we know what we are proceeding for. And this particular symbol is of the entire universe in it. That was the Divyank. This is the entire universe. A complete human body with the 10 centers of consciousness, with the 10 endocrine systems, 10 autonomic ganglia, 10 centers of nervous system, 10 stages of development, anatomy, physiology, biochemistry. I have seen that. With that descriptive knowledge of 10 stages and then 10 heavenly bodies in solar system, 10 suns in spiral galaxy, is the uniformity I see. Now let's now see for those 10, confirm it, and then move on to the next stage so that we don't have any confusion whatsoever. This picture will give you that idea how ancient Indian people used it. But here I have not used male or female or animal picture. But there are lotus. Lotus is always dear to me. Many people ask why I do use lotus. Because lotus is the only flower which can grow in dirt but is untouched by dirt. I want every human being to be untouched by dirt. Even if you are whatever atmosphere you maintain your purity, you maintain your divinity, you maintain your godliness, and you move on to the impeccable wisdom. And that's it. And this particular picture also I made it very clear. This picture is going to be there for all the things to show chariot with 5 horses, 5 senses should be open, 10 stages should be there, should be perfect, 100 trillion cells. And Arjun is like the focused person with 100 trillion cells perfect, and in tune with indwelling consciousness of helium. As a result, he is able to do what others failed. Then Lord Krishna as the Bhagwan, Ishwar, Paramatma, whatever you call it. He is the one who knows the entire universe. Let's have that Tret Paravidya within ourselves. Unless until we knew ourselves completely, we know our solar system completely, we know our spiral connectivity, we know the entire universe. Only then we are knowledgeable, and that is the impeccable wisdom which I want to talk. From that Rishi to Maharishi to Brahma Rishi to Akhand Rishi is a concept which Katha also talked about, Holy Gita also talks about it, and I emphasize on that. Now let's move on to the next stage. I have been born in Katra. I have told you I am a devotee of Mata Vaishno Devi, Goddess Durga, and that has been very important. I have already spoken. Now, first 7 years I've spoken about it. You know about it. You know about reincarnation. You know about Brahman before creation, during creation, after that, and how the reincarnation at 22 stages, which I have been part. Then 7 years why I have done based on my reincarnation at 22 stages, that I am learning from that knowledge and relearning to build this juncture is one thing very clear. But after 7 years, after Gayatri, I had the privilege of experience the descent of Gayatri within me. And during I once I had gone for bath to Bad Ganga in Katra. We didn't have the household toilets, etc. during my childhood. So everything we had to do outside. Coming back, I got fever. When I was lying on the bed, I found something falling from the roof. Fell on me. I was lifted, became unconscious, then regained some time. But many people thought I was attacked by somebody else. But I know it was not someone other than Goddess Gayatri itself taking me to the next level. The time has come for you to move on to the higher levels of consciousness. And that is the descent of Shakti which I am talking about. And I'm sure there are many people who have spoken about descent of Shakti, and I can call it Kundalini, Mahakundalini, or Adi Parashakti. And one person whose knowledge with immediate past is Shri Aurobindo, where he talked about descent of Shakti, which transformed him. And I'm sure he was talking of the same thing which I'm talking about. But he has gone on record, he could not do that for anyone, including mother. Is also reality. That's what I keep saying. Everybody will have to earn on their own. They have to experience descent only when they are ready for it. And for that, impeccable wisdom is very important. At this particular juncture, since I'm talking about Sri Aurobindo, he was nominated even for Nobel Prize. He did not get, doesn't matter. But as far as medical profession is concerned, World Health Organization is talking about integrated health. If there is one person who is responsible for the definition in the last generation, almost 100 years back, it is Sri Aurobindo, and he talked of integral yoga, which you can translate as a Akhand yoga, which I am talking about, has got all the ingredient ways of physical health, emotional health, mental health, spiritual health. He emphasized almost 100 years back. He was not a medical doctor, but he talked about perfect health almost 100 years back as precisely. Today, World Health Organization is talking about integral yoga only. And let us be fair enough to people who have talked about. At this juncture also, when I talk of another person I am great admirer, is Jaddu Krishnamurti. And I gave him, he says very clear, your guru is your Atma, your inner soul. No one else is there. That forthright statement of Jaddu Krishnamurti is very, very important, and that's what I'm also talking about. At the same time, I also talked quite high about Maharishi Yajnavalkya. He was very precise, concise, to the point. He had the courage to say, no one can beat him because his knowledge is better and nobody could ever beat him. And I want those people, those things to emerge, not a children item. Their statement should be gospel, universal truths. So that way I do see quite a lot of statement for different people. But I'm looking for one which stands out. When I see Arvind, it's a descent and it's integral yoga. When I think of Jadu Krishnamurti, it is Atma which is important, not anything else. And like that, we need a subject which there is no dichotomy whatsoever. That's it, my knowledge, and I would like to share. Now I'm going to bring another concept very clearly, that I have suffered from nasal congestion or kapha dosha ever since my childhood. And I'm now going to say, after my graduation, after training in general surgery, I opted post-graduation ENT surgery for 3 years. For 3 years studying best books in ENT department, and primarily I got in because I wanted to get rid of my nasal congestion, which I never got over at that time. Everything was tried on me. All the experts tried, but nobody could give me a relief. As a result, after 3 years, if I can't treat my cold with ENT surgery, what I'm going to do with the rest of the world? So I dropped it, then went on to plastic surgery, then went on to alternative research work, because I know we were ignorant, we had no impeccable wisdom, we didn't even know what is the cause of my nasal congestion. But today I know the cause is I've been intelligent. My focus is on the higher brain centers, brainstem, reptilian brain, limbic system, hypothalamus, as well as thalamus. Maybe you can call it pituitary gland, pineal gland, all the brain. My focus being in the brain, so one nerve which is a part of cranial parasympathetic is facial nerve, is a seventh nerve, and it supplies blood to all the nasal congestions in the brain totally. When focus was there, blood supply to all these organs increased. So nasal flow was physiological process, not a pathological process. And it was there only when I was thinking more than I'm not thinking. I had no problem in sleeping. I had no problem whatsoever otherwise. Only when I'm using the brain, I had that problem. When I'm not using the problem, I did not have. Now that I understand, now I understand it is because the chemicals which we can correct, and it's also the circulation of energy is important. So use the brain for effective things, and you can do for 45 minutes and maybe 90 minutes. Learn it and done with it. Don't concentrate more than half an hour, 45 minutes whatsoever. And that's it. And I advise everybody, I'm making it longer and longer videos, but you don't have to concentrate. Concentrate, listening you can do for hours together. There's no problem at all. But with Ayurveda and Akhand Yoga, I've been able to relieve my nasal congestion completely, kapha dosha completely, which is part of the sattvic food. This is a problem with Brahmins who take pure vegetarian diet, do not drink, do not smoke, do not do anything which is sympathetic in overactivity. It is a cranial parasympathetic predominance. That is the result in this form. Now that I know, so I circulate between sacral parasympathetic, sympathetic, and sympathetic, keep the autonomic nervous system balanced. Whatever is required, do it. Don't depend on one other thing. But if you know how to switch on and switch off your consciousness with Akhand Yoga, 10 stages, you can do wonders. That's what I have been. There's also 10 stages. Patanjali Yoga Sutra talks of 8 stages. But I've added Kundalini Yoga and Antar Yoga so that you can experience Kundalini within your body. As a result, entire Rig Vedas, I3 Upanishads, complete atoms, elements, molecules can understood and can be perfectly healthy. That's one thing which I'm now trying to show how to apply in day-to-day life to reach the level based on my own experiences, what the problems I had, how I resolved it, why I don't have that problem hereafter. Now, I have gone to say for 7 years no school because my 6 months were primarily in Kashmir, 6 months in Katra. So I had a chance to learn A to Z of the best stuff ancient Indian wisdom in Kashmir Valley, which is the center of Kashyap, where learnt all the wisdom of impeccable wisdom was in Kashmir, Kashmir Shaivism, where the Tantra Vidya, a phenomenal thing. I had the pleasure to know because that is the area which I wanted to know. I have already known about Brahma consciousness, I have already known Vishnu consciousness, but the Shiva's precise value was not known to the world. Tantra Vidya is still misunderstood. It is still focused on Vamamag and many things which I know are defects. To know the real Tantra Vidya, which Lord Shiva gave it to Parvati in Amarnath, I had the pleasure to know. Now I'm redoing and giving to the world with the impeccable wisdom which is required. Now, as I told you, 1958-59, I joined school Katra. That left side is the one gate which was there when I was there. The rest of the building is a new building which was not there, but some of the construction had started at the stage. It was old building, great memories, and I'm happy that I've done. But then my admission was in first standard in 58. In 59, I was given double promotion, taken to third standard in keep with my age group people. But I'm also there to say the first few years, nobody actually realized that there was something good in me. I was considered just like it, and I have no issues at all because I was still learning, observing things. And I also go on record. I'm not the one who speak unless until there is a need for it. I'm not a chatterer person. I did not go on sharing with others. Unless until I find defect, I don't even open my mouth. I never opened as a child, never as a college student, never as a research scholar, never even a teacher otherwise. I would even listen to everybody and I continue to do that because listening is the most important because I want to remain as a student because I have to rectify the issues for myself and others are just beneficiaries of it. I want everybody to listen to the lecture which is given, then reflect it later. Don't interfere in when some lectures are given. Go with an empty mind. Observe what he said, then look at it at a later stage, not at the beginning stage. Otherwise, you're going to be in a dirty work of tutu mama, which is not going to help anyone in any form. That's also a message which I've learned and I'm giving it to the world. This is what it is. But as I've gone again and again, this particular shlok from Hitopadesh has changed me completely. And this is, I would say, right knowledge or impeccable wisdom always leads to humility. The person who is knowledgeable has the humility to accept this is wrong. That's it. And if somebody says, first learn and then see for yourself whether you are responsible for that. If you find that you are absolutely fine, no problem at all, have the courage to tell the person, no, this is the truth. You have that courage of impeccable wisdom, and that will make you humble, will have no ego, but self-esteem will emerge. And when the person is very humble, he will consider everybody to be equal because we have learned step by step to come to this particular stage. They'll create a casteless society. When the casteless society, based on the skills, bring in the effort to produce whatever is required, there will be going to be prosperity, abundance for everyone. When there is a prosperity, there's going to be dharma, righteousness, there's going to be uniformity, there are going to be comforts for everyone. If the world will peace, we should know to use people based on the skills, not reservations. If the person is skilled at this level, that level, other thing, we should have the humility to accept he will fit that, do the job very well. And let them be taken for that job where the contribution is free. And that is something which I learned as a child in Katra school itself. And second thing which I learned also, सरस्वती के भंडार में बड़ी अपूर्व बात ज्यों ज्यों खर्चे त्यों त्यों बड़े बिन खर्चे घटियात. That means knowledge is something which more and more you spend, more and more it grows. If you don't spend, it stops. Where Lakshmi has to be used effectively, not wasting for that. That is also something I learned in school during those first 2 years in school itself. And I stick to that even today. Then unfolding of excellence started coming because I've already had an experience of impeccable wisdom. I had the descent of Gayatri also within me, and also the wisdom to understand things, remember from my memory, and work on it to produce impeccable wisdom of the highest order. Started in school after fifth, sixth standard only. I'm making it very clear. That's what I keep saying. I'm glad my children went to Rishi Valley School. They, up to a sixth standard, they had no exams at all. And I would say only from sixth onward, things started taking good shape because by that time I was just observing. And that's it. Now, the first lesson which stood out after sixth standard, my father had a shop which was called Hira Sweet Stall. Everybody was fond of that place, very popular. He was expert in making sweets and other things for all the people who were coming to Katra Vaishno Devi. He was the most popular person. His shop was the center for all the discussion where I learnt A to Z through direct observation from experts from all over the world who knew Ved, Upanishad, music, and other things completely. That way, I privileged that Katra had given me the advantage. But when this particular shop was called Hira Sweet Stall, it did not make any sense to me because I started thinking about each and every concept. And why? How can a shop or stall be sweet? There is something wrong. Then I changed the name as Hira Sweets. This is a shop which makes sweets, and that is prefix is Hira, my father's name, his sweets, and leave it at that. And that is also the message which I'm giving through the books. When I say, what is the prime function of artery? Pearl says they carry oxygenated and vein deoxygenated. I said defective one. The one which carry from heart to the periphery is the artery, and periphery to this, that's the kind of one word answer where there's no ambiguity whatsoever. And this I started learning as a child when I am not at all aware of branding. I'm in a village, small town. There is nothing of that sort. But even whatever came, can we make it better? And that's it. And finally, my elder brother made a beautiful design of Hira Sweets, which was there on the shop till I left. Then one thing which came out very clearly was a mental divine mathematics, which arithmetic I learned. Now I'm making it divine arithmetic. I'm not talking about mathematics. I'm glad up to 8th standard in Katra, I learned the art how to add 1 plus 1 is 2 and divisions, reductions, multiplications, all those four parameters of arithmetic we were very good at. We were taught how to go on multiplying, how to divide it, how to reduce it, how to multiplication. Those are four fundamental concepts I learnt mentally. And mentally I would, before complete question is complete, I would have the answers because I've developed the brain to think of 10 dimensions. This is how it is. And at that particular stage, if my IQ had been taken, it would have beaten anything because pattern projects I could see, and that's it. And what is the square value, what is root value was known. And also at this particular juncture, I knew what is zero, what is shunya, what is empty, what is infinity. The kind of discussion I had with my classmates, my seniors, teachers, and other things was a phenomenal discussion on arithmetic. And I'm glad up to 8th century, my concentration was only a divine mathematics, mental, and without any instrument, mentally I could calculate and give the answer. That was asset, and I continue to use that. Maybe because of the divine arithmetic concept, I've been able to give Divyank the atheist because they think how to analyze, how to calculate, how to produce. All that I can do in mentally much faster than the calculators can do it. So this also reminds me of Shakuntala Devi, who could do mental mathematics at the highest or the greatest thing. This also reminds me of Ramanuja, what he talked about infinity and other things mentally before going to UK. But I'm very sorry to say, by going to UK, going for mathematics, which is more algebra, geometry, and theorems, he would have given the world something, but all that is defective. What he did before going was wonderful. So is Kuntala Devi. And there are many other people I have met in my lifetime who inspired me by their memory, their calculation, other things. So I look for only people who are there for impeccable wisdom. That's it. Then I also learned Urdu because that was the language of Jammu and Kashmir, where I was studying in Hindi. My cousin Chandrasekhar was taught by his father, and I was sitting close to him, and I picked up Urdu beautifully within few days and started writing script the way it is, as if I was an expert. And this is something which helped me to over a period that I should learn different languages from different people, and that has made me what I am today. And if I understand Sanskrit completely today, because I understand all the Indian languages and different words in different languages I know, and they have given, each language has given me an advantage, and that has made me translate Sanskrit into English, Hindi, or other subjects because I understand the concept very clear. Now, mastering other languages, Katra became very clear because people from all over the world were coming. They're speaking in different languages. And I was trying to listen to them what they were talking about, whether it is Kashmiri, whether it is Dogri, whether it's Pahadi, whether it's a Punjabi, whether it's Haryanvi, whether it's Marwari, Marathi, Gujarati, or South Indian languages. I got exposed to that almost all the Indian languages and tones and otherwise made me think and remember those words which has made me linguistic today. Because I am linguistic, I can understand Sanskrit much better than all the experts who talk of Sanskrit because they have a limited knowledge. But applied part, you need impeccable wisdom that comes from Indian languages because they're based on Sanskrit by and large. That's the advantage. I picked it up in Katra during the second 7 years. Now, one transformation which came up in 1963, we had a new principal, Ved Prakash Goswami came. And that is the transition which I said. During interaction session, he recognized my talent. When he started asking questions which nobody could answer, I could answer those questions. He was surprised that you are sitting here and nobody knows about you. Then Brahma Swarup was our mathematics teacher. He also has been saying he's phenomenal. There's no doubt about it. But that's the question because my mathematical design made me stand out. And at the same time, I also said very clearly, if you want to get top of the world, you should be master of every subject. That's where I compare myself with Ramanujan. He was very good in so-called mathematics of the West, but not other subjects. Whereas my advice to every student is all the 64 art you must know to the perfection. Don't restrict yourself to maths, physics, chemistry, biology, or medical or non-medical subject. Learn every subject with an open eye. At the end, it is the same everywhere. And as a result, I have been able to do wonders. And when I wanted to leave Katra, 64, he refused, I will not give because I see a potential for creating history for Katra, which has never seen it. But then I had made up my mind because of my father's sickness. And he did not recover. I knew there's no use me building on arithmetic or abstract mathematics at all. Let me become doctor and treat every patient as if I'm treating my parents with a love and talk about preventive medicines so that nobody suffers in the process. And I continue to do that till today. Even if you have a problem, you can rectify if you know the cause. And that is why my emphasis on preventive medicine, curtail aging, and reverse aging. I continue to do that. And that was laid foundation when I was in Katra itself. With that, I think we have come enough for the day. I think enough for the day. Maybe we'll move on to next at the next day. Thank you very